KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DePrima. The show is called First Things First. And what's my first thing? Y'all know, giving thanks, giving praise, and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go. Let's go. Wow, we got a lot going on this Think Tank Thursday. Y'all named it that. And now that's what it is. It's a Think Tank Thursday. And I've got some very thoughtful individuals joining me today to do think tank things. So I'm excited about that. Hour one, we typically look local. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. Third hour, we do a deep dive. That's what we are doing today. We'll be talking with Cynthia Hurd Mitchell in hour three. She is the president CEO of the LA Urban League. Today is the State of Black LA. They're having it at USC, but it's sold out. I am one of the moderators, so I will be there. However, you can stream it. Go to laul.org and you can stream it. And it's going to be worth streaming. They've got some incredible speakers and experts and data from the county about what's going on with Black people in this county, which is bigger than many states. Hour two, we're going to talk to Sharon Kyle of the LA Progressive. And of course, they are the main presenters, the creators of the Left Coast Forum. We are co-presenters, KBLA. That's coming up a week from Saturday. It's a busy season. We got Taste the Soul, boom. Right after that, you got the Left Coast Forum at Trade Tech. And she's also a lawyer. And I love getting her legal eye, progressive take on all the crazy that's happening in our country, in our world. Plus, we'll talk about the forum, of course. Joining me right now in this place, though, is a community organizer. She is a policy director for Black Lives Matter California, Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, and she is an activist and organizer in these streets as well, not just sitting behind a desk doing policy. Sheila Bates, good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you and in person.
Yeah, live and in person. It's great to see you. Thank you for not joining me by phone.
Very few people can have me up and active and functional as a human being at 6 o'clock in the morning. Only you can do it.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be on that very short list. And happy birthday. It's Libra season and you're one of those.
That's right.
It's funny because my dad and two of my brothers are Libras, so I associate Libras with fiery activism, and you fit the mold.
Our sign is represented by the balance and the scales for a reason.
Yeah, but y'all balance on the side of justice, from what I can see.
Yes.
And you don't want to get between you and justice. That's right. Not a good move.
That's right.
So HBD, happy solar return.
Thank you.
So, I mean, we get to talk about victories today, which is dope because there's been a lot of talking about ICE and Trump and blah, blah, blah. But we got to talk about victories. Where do we start? Let's start with Torrance because you actually kind of put your body on the line for that particular victory.
Yeah. So just recently, the Attorney General tried to take, I'm going to switch up the narrative and say what really happened, right? Is that he tried to take credit for what community did, right? Community had been putting pressure on the Torrance City Council for 7 years, ever since Christopher DeAndre Mitchell was murdered on December 9th of 2018. And he then went ahead and one of the first demands, the original demands, was that there was a civilian oversight commission of the Torrance Police Department. And that was because of his mama, because his mama, Sister Sherilyn Haynes, said that she wants the road to be easier for the next family because she knew there was going to be one. And that was one of our original demands. And all these years later, we now know that there is a civilian oversight commission coming for the Torrance Police Department. And the Attorney General officially announced it, that there was a forcible agreement, because we all know that there's a text messaging scandal in Torrance that blew up in their faces, that also was unearthed just before the Angelversary, one of Christopher's Angelversaries. So I don't think that was a mistake. That was him doing the work from the spirit side, and his mama did the work from earth side.
Wow. So Attorney General saying, look what we did, but it was really the family of Christopher DeAndre Mitchell and himself and Black Lives Matter Grassroots, Black Lives Matter LA, right? I mean, you in particular were one of the people leading the Torrance work.
That's correct.
And you got beat up for your troubles?
I did. Yeah, I was brutalized on May 14th of 2019. Arrested alongside 3 others. Of the 4 people who were arrested that night, 3 of us were brutalized. And then they also brutalized another individual another night. They used to push us out of police commission in riot gear. They pushed Sister Sherilyn out of a meeting with a baton to her neck.
The mama.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. I mean, but you're like a pound and a half. You make me look fat, and I'm a size 4. So I don't. What are police doing beating you up?
Yeah, I mean, they were mad, and it's telling that also one of the people who brutalized me and arrested me was Brian Kawamoto. And Brian Kawamoto was the cop who shot Christopher DeAndre Mitchell with a beanbag gun after he was already dead. And they allowed him to be in city council chambers while we were demanding justice in his name, while we said, name the cops, arrest the cops, charge them, prosecute them. They allowed him to be in city council chambers. This is why we say they're deeply inept and incompetent of holding the police department accountable. Because in what world do you think that that's appropriate to have that man in the same room as the mama who he shot his child?
So a cop in full cop gear grabs you and does what?
Yeah, I was walking out. He walked down the aisle and threw me. I don't know if it was him. There were 6 cops, at least 6 cops who were involved. One of them threw me into the chairs and I was trying to walk away. And then another one grabbed my arm and then threw me down to the ground. And then a whole bunch of them just piled on top of me.
Wow, that must have been scary.
It was surreal. It was surreal.
Yeah. Sounds terrible. I mean, knowing you were probably trying to punch them back and stuff.
Luckily, criminal charges were dropped. They did try to say I resisted arrest.
They tried to say you beat up 6 cops at a pound and a half of Sheila versus 6 cops with guns.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know that you're really diligent in your recovery, doing yoga and all that stuff. So hopefully, eventually you fully recover from that.
Hopefully, because all these years later, I'm still dealing with ramifications of what they did.
Wow, that's crazy. So that victory's got to feel especially sweet for you.
It does. It does. And I think one other thing that I would say is that it speaks volumes to his mama, because the night that I was arrested, I came out at I was arrested at 8 o'clock at night, maybe even before that. And when I came out at it was just before the sun came up, I looked and one of the first people I saw was Sister Sherilyn. And I looked at her and I said, "What are you doing here?" And she said, "Baby, I wouldn't have left you."
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, that's powerful. And of course, what did you do? Went back the next week and kept protesting.
That's right. And funny enough, I had told them just that week, I told them, I said, "Let me make it clear. We don't die, we multiply." And we definitely came back swinging with a whole bunch more people the next week.
And so now here we are in 2025. And the Torrance Police Department. And if you guys don't know, Torrance is a sundown town. Still, not used to be, is a sundown town. And their police department is infamous. And those text messages revealed something that the streets already knew, which is they're a bunch of racist KKK dudes.
That's right.
And now they will have an oversight, civilian oversight board, which is, if there was any police department we could pick to have one of those, it might be Torrance.
That's right.
Yeah. So congratulations on that. Guess what? There's more victories to unpack. It's going to be one of those start off smiling days if you care about justice. Of course, you're always invited in at 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580, or you can hop in the comments on YouTube, which is at KBLA1580, youtube.com. There's always a brisk conversation. The delegation got comments, they got jokes, and they have astute analysis. So be part of it. However you do so, you're invited in. I'm Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-297-1563 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-297-1563. That's 800-297-1563. What do you have to lose? Call 800-297-1563. Again, 800-297-1563.
Hi, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., inviting you to join me weekdays at 12 noon, right after Tavis Smiley, here on KBLA Talk 1580. As a law school graduate and a theologian with a firm grasp of our body politic given almost 2 decades in Congress, my show is the fresh new home of an authentic, uncompromised quest for transformation and salvation, both personal and collectively, as I vigorously interrogate the theological and symbolic meanings embedded in our society. I promise to leverage my knowledge of history, theology, and both international and domestic issues to imagine an inclusive vision for the future, which I hope will inspire all of us to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as a given, not just an aspiration. So join me weekdays at 12 noon, right after Tavis Smiley, for 2 hours of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tavis Smiley with a final word here about the upcoming Left Coast Forum on Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. As you know by now, our major keynoters include Professor Richard Wolff and Dr. Cornel West. LA Mayor Karen Bass will be there as well. But listen to some of these plenaries: fighting for Black students and educational equity, resilience under Trumpism, how to stay sane under fascism, the battle for democracy, what's at stake in 2026, healthcare under attack, fighting Trump's cuts, and building patient power from seed to system, building a local food economy in South LA, theater as a force for change, voices from Palestine. The Constitution is not self-reinforcing, racism on the left, building communities of care, federal changes and their impact on healthcare in LA County, Committee for the First Amendment, and more. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. That's KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. We'll see you there.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at KBLA1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community focused. So just go to KBLA1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DePrima right now.
All right. Yeah, I know I'm doing too much, but that's because today is the Los Angeles Urban League State of Black LA, and it's streaming on NBC and Univision. So my mug is going to be up in the play. So thank you, McCoy. McCoy Zeno's here getting me extra cute. If you want to see extra cute, go to YouTube right now because I'm not doing this every day. Sheila Bates is here. We're talking victories. Black Lives Matter California, Black Lives Matter LA, and Black Lives Matter Grassroots, which is the national formation, are all formations that you work with, right?
That's correct. Yes.
And-
on the policy team.
Yeah, the policy. And we'll get to the policy. You're pretty fierce about making sure people know the difference between Black Lives Matter Grassroots and the Global Network Foundation, which are sort of like
thieves, liars, and grifters.
Yeah, like I said, she's pretty fierce. The thieves, liars, and grifters. Yeah, because I guess for some folks there's confusion. Even a lot of us, may not know that there's a Black Lives Matter LA, California, and the national organization, which has 52 chapters, which are completely separate from the Global Network Foundation.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. And we've got an international chapter in Sweden, of all places.
Yeah, that's great. I actually had a chance to meet a couple of those folks. I didn't know there were Black people in Sweden at all.
I mean, I don't think I did either.
But apparently there are. So victories. I think for me, probably the biggest victory lately is Wakiesha's Law. This is the bill that Assemblymember Isaac Bryan brought on behalf of the family of Wakiesha Wilson, on behalf of Lisa Hines, her mama, and Sheila Hines, her auntie, who have been working tirelessly alongside members of Black Lives Matter. So tell me what is that journey?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this bill actually originally started in Congress. And so let's give credit where credit's due, because oftentimes Black women don't get credit for what they do. Dr. Melina Abdullah was the one who wrote the language of this bill. And it was actually originally introduced by then Congresswoman Karen Bass. It didn't make its way through Congress, and when Congresswoman Karen Bass left, Congresswoman Sidney Comlager-Dove took her place, and she reintroduced the bill. And then also what happened is that we were looking at doing it at the state level because we knew that it was really complicated to try and get it through at the federal level. And so Assemblymember Isaac Bryan took up the mantle and decided to run it this year. And so he did what is very much an anomaly, especially with such a big bill. He managed to introduce this bill and then pass it in the same year, which is very uncommon and very rare. And this bill, what it does is it really honors Wakiesha Wilson, because any death is a tragedy. And we know that, 1,200 people a year are killed by the police, and that doesn't count in custody deaths, right? So they didn't count Wakiesha Wilson's death in that count that year. And
because she was in the LAPD Metropolitan lockup at the time.
That's correct.
And so that's not considered an officer involved killing. It's an in custody death, which is a different category.
Yes.
And we know that her mom went to court planning to see her daughter, didn't see her daughter. They couldn't tell her where she was. She spent days looking for her. Finally, I believe it was a sheriff's deputy that told her to call this number, even though it was an LAPD situation. And then she called, and it turned out to be the coroner's office, which is a mama's worst nightmare. And we really, the goal was to make sure that doesn't happen to anybody else.
Absolutely.
It's crazy because it seems like that would be automatic.
Yeah. That's not something that legislation should have to be written about.
Your loved one died, was killed, was gravely injured in prison. You would think, or jail, that they would automatically tell you.
Especially since they collect next of kin information and emergency contact information when you are taken into custody. That's something that they actually do. As a person who was arrested, they take that information from you, so they know who to call, and it's real easy for them to be able to just it takes a minute to call somebody.
Yeah, and so, as Dr. Melina Abdullah says, this is not radical. It's not a radical bill, but it's necessary.
That's right.
And it's not a given either, because I know that some of the police associations and sheriff's associations oppose this, right?
They did. Initially, they did. They actually ended up coming off of it. And unfortunately, we know that Wakiesha Wilson is not the only person that their family wasn't notified, right? We know that there was a person, I believe it was in Ohio, who they were killed, and they died and their body was eaten by bed bugs. and they didn't bother to notify their loved one because their body sat there in the cell for almost a week.
Yeah, I read about that story. It's terrible. And I can't tell you how many families I have interviewed over the years that tell me they've never gotten notified whether their loved one died in custody or was shot down in the streets. No one calls them, no one offers them help. It's really shameful. So to me, this is a huge victory, even though it's not a radical bill, it's an important one. And of course, we know that the reason that then Congresswoman Karen Bass wasn't able to advance that is because Republicans controlled, I think at that time they controlled the Senate and we controlled the House.
Mhm.
Now they control both bodies, which makes it harder
Yes.
for Congresswoman Kamlager. But I think you said they were feeling like this was a helpful step, the passage of it in California.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think this gives additional momentum. You know, the saying goes, where California goes, the rest of the nation follows. And so it's a huge deal that this bill passed in California, because it really will absolutely help to give some momentum and some weight in this can be done. It shows a literal pathway that it was done, and that this is possible and it's necessary, and that it had bipartisan support, right? And it sailed through both houses, and opposition did fall off because they knew that it looked silly for them to oppose this bill.
It did. Well, I'm smiling because I always say that that bipartisanship is like the Easter Bunny. It doesn't really exist, but I guess occasionally it pops its head up and does a thing. And by bipartisanship, we mean at least one Republican voted for it, right?
Yes.
It doesn't mean there's this awakening of conscience, but it does mean that that at least one, and I think it was more than one. If I'm not mistaken, it was several Republicans that actually voted for this.
Absolutely.
So good for you. You know, credit where credit is due. Big ups to you.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Okay, I'm gonna give them the consciousness moment instead of the broken clock, because I'm hoping they'll do it again. Is why.
Yes. May it be so.
Yeah. So that's great news. It is. There was something I didn't realize about that. Sheila, there was something called an urgency clause.
Yes, so there was an urgency clause placed on this bill, which means that, and that was the brilliance of Assemblymember Isaac Bryan to put this on this bill, because he knew that it was incredibly important and that families can't wait for this sort of legislation, that it should have been passed a long time ago. It shouldn't be necessary because policing in prisons shouldn't exist, but as they do, that this should be made immediate law. And so he put an urgency clause on it and had to actually send it back to the Assembly, because he put the urgency clause on it when it was in Senate. So it had to be sent back to Assembly to be able to get confirmed there. And then what that meant is that when Governor Newsom signed the bill, the second he signed the bill, it immediately became law. And the other amazing thing about this bill, and also shocking, is that this is the first bill that's actually named after a Black woman.
Ever.
In
California, right?
Nationwide, actually.
In the whole country?
Definitely in California. And
That's
from our research,
crazy.
It's also nationwide.
I mean, it's crazy that how old is America? Kind of old. 1776 to 2025 is the first time there's a bill named after a Black woman. And it is benefiting everybody, obviously. It's not just Black women's families that will get notified, but it was the tragedy of a Black woman's killing, having her life stolen, and then the pain that was piled on top of that loss by the way that killing was handled in respect to the notification and the handling of her family. So I know I want to give some love to Sheila Hines and Lisa Hines, because in the midst of unimaginable pain, they have showed up and really fought for this, right?
Absolutely. And Sister Lisa gave powerful testimony at the safety committee. She had people in the audience tearing up. She swayed votes that we didn't think we were going to get. And she had a line of people who didn't even know anything about this bill prior to that, who all stood up and said, "Me too," to support the bill. It was a beautiful moment. It was because she gave such powerful testimony.
Yeah. And I know just from being at protests and being part of the movement that she doesn't, it's really hard for her. So she doesn't, it's not something she relishes talking about it, but she forces herself to do it in service of the greater good. And so thank you, Miss Lisa Hines and Miss Sheila Hines, for your work on behalf of all Californians and all Americans. And congratulations to you, Sheila. I know you worked really hard on this as well. It's time for news, traffic, and sports, and we'll continue this conversation. Believe it or not, there's more great news to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. LAPD are currently urging more victims to come forward after USC grad student Sihei Wang was charged with drugging and raping 3 women.
Evidence was recovered at Wang's residence that corroborated his involvement in drug-facilitated sexual assaults of multiple victims, dating back to 2021 and continuing into 2025.
The 30-year-old Chinese national faces 8 felonies and is being held without bail. House Speaker Mike Johnson and Black House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries may face off in a debate on C-SPAN's new show, Ceasefire. Jeffries accepted the challenge, saying he looks forward to discussing key issues with opposing viewpoints. And LAPD has seized surveillance footage from singer David's Hollywood Hills rental home, hoping to learn if Celeste Rivas Hernandez was there before her death. Her body was found in a Tesla registered to him. No suspects have been named. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Hard rock style is coming to the Central Valley, just 15 miles south of Bakersfield off Route 99. You'll find world-class gaming and entertainment. Less drive time equals more playtime. The all-new Hard Rock Casino Tejon, opening November 13th.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers have put up some impressive numbers during their 7-1 postseason. In the last 3 playoff games, the Dodgers have trailed for just 1 inning. In the 2 games at Milwaukee, the Brewers had only 2 base runners in scoring position. Both of those were in Game 1. Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Blake Snell combined for 16 shutout innings, 17 strikeouts, and 1 walk in the 2 games at Milwaukee. The Brewers have only 4 hits in the 2 games. Can the Dodgers starting pitchers keep this up? We'll find out tomorrow. Tyler Glasnow gets the start for Game 3. First pitch tomorrow at 3 o'clock. LA native Russell Westbrook is returning for his 18th NBA season. Westbrook signed a 1-year deal with the Sacramento Kings for the veteran minimum of $3.6 million. Westbrook will be 37 in November. He holds the NBA record for the most triple plays with 203. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Established in 2020 during a time of deep racial unrest across our state and country, the Black Freedom Fund was created to make sure that leaders and organizations working to support Black communities and build power have the resources they need to stay in the fight for the long haul. We believe that those closest to the issues impacting our communities know best how to solve them. That's why in just the last 5 years, we've granted more than $45 million to over 200 grassroots organizations across California. That is the largest collective investment in Black organizing in history, and we're just getting started. We are clear-eyed and committed, more now than ever, to our people, our power, and our possibility. Join us in creating a future where Black people harness their full power to shape their lives and realize a just world for all. Learn more at fundblackfreedom.org. That's fundblackfreedom.org. The Black Freedom Fund is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Seems like there's more identity theft in the news every day.
Another major healthcare breach was reported today, resulting in the exposure. 1 in 4 consumers have been a victim of identity.
That's because there are endless places that could accidentally expose you to identity theft, in a breach, or simply by mistake. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Stop settling for weak sound. It's time to level up your game and bring the boom. Hit the town with the ultra-durable LG X Boom portable speaker and enjoy vibrant sound wherever you go. Elevate your listening experience to new heights because, let's be real, your music deserves it. The future of sound is now with LG X Boom. And for a limited time, save 25% at LG.com with code FALL25. Bring the boom. X Boom.
Hello, KBLA listeners. This is Dr. Paul Wallace. I want to discuss a type of eczema called atopic dermatitis, which is often misdiagnosed in Black children and adults. Atopic dermatitis is an autoimmune disorder that can be accompanied by food allergies, hay fever, and asthma. This rash targets the inner arms, behind the knees, and face, but can go all over the body. It causes excessive dryness and 24/7 itching. It's the scratching and steroid use that leads to permanent scarring. I'm enrolling patients in a new clinical research study focused on better treatment options for atopic dermatitis. Of course, your medication and travel reimbursements are provided. To see if you qualify, visit dermstudies.com or call us at 323-296-0048. That's 323-296-0048. There's nothing worse than itching. Let's take the next step in controlling this problem.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, thank you indeed. You know, it's the anniversary of the Million Man March, the 16th of October. And I think it's been 30 years, if I'm not mistaken. That's crazy. 30 years since OJ, 30 years since the Million Man March. That means it's been about 30 years since I got to LA, because I was on the air on Street Science when we had the Million Man March. Anyway,
and it's also the founding of the Black Panther Party was yesterday too.
That's right. That was way more than 30 years.
Yes, that was in 1966.
1966. Wow. So big things this whole week. I wonder if there's I'm sure someone will be celebrating it at Taste of Soul on Saturday. All of these things: the Million Man March, the Black Panther Party founding, Dominique coming to LA. They should have a special parade for that.
Absolutely. That one of utmost.
So putting things in context, when we just got through this legislative session, when the governor has a bunch of stuff on his desk and he decides what to sign and what not to sign, some of us were celebrating the creation of a bureau for Freedmen's Affairs. Well, they said descendants of chattel slavery, which is a step forward for reparations. But then he vetoed every other reparations bill. Surprise, surprise. But it's not like he had how many bills was he going through during this session?
Yeah. So from my research, there were 2,387 bills that were introduced this legislative cycle. So these were bills that were introduced between the Assembly and the Senate. Obviously, not every one of them made it through committee. And even made it to the floor for a vote. But of those 2,387, 917 of them were sent to Newsom. So that means they made it through both houses, all of their committees and everything. And then of those 917 that actually made it to Newsom, 794 were signed into law.
What?
And 123 of them were vetoed.
Wow. So Newsom's got some serious homework. He got to at least skim through or be briefed by staff on close to 1,000 bills, and then decide what to veto and what to pass. And it goes to show you that it's really a big victory for a legislator when they actually get a bill signed.
Absolutely.
The process you were describing is what every law has to go through before it becomes the rule of law in California, right?
Absolutely. So it starts in the House of Origin and it's introduced. So whether it's introduced on the Assembly side or the Senate side.
So that matters which lawmaker is championing it.
Exactly. So if it's like, for example, Assembly member Isaac Bryan, his bill was introduced in the Assembly. If it was, maybe Senator Lola Smallwood Cuevas, right, that would be introduced in the Senate. And so then from there, it is assigned to it has its initial reading. It's assigned to a committee or multiple committees. If it has any large dollar amount, it's oftentimes sent to the Appropriations Committee, which is notable because in the policy world, that's where we say bills go to die, because if they want a bill to be silently disappeared and they don't want a whole bunch of news around it, or they don't want to be held accountable for their votes, they oftentimes allow it to be killed in appropriations committee, which is cough, cough, what Buffy Wicks did to CalCare. And that's the reason why we don't have single payer healthcare in the state of California. But so the bills go through all of those different committees. And if they make it through all of their committees, then they end up on the floor of the House of Origin. And then once they make it through the floor of the House of Origin, they then have to go to the other house, and they oftentimes repeat that same process. So
because if somebody amends it, they want to add something onto it, then it has to go back to the original house. And
well, even before that. So even before that, so like if it started on the assembly side and say it went through public safety and then it went through appropriations, then it will go through Senate side and will go through public safety and then appropriations. And then like you're saying, if it's amended, then it has to go back to the House of Origin. And then it will just to the floor. It doesn't have to go back to committee. It will go back to the floor. Well, actually, sometimes it does go. It will go actually go back to the committee. We'll go back to committee for approval, and then we'll go back to the floor for a vote. And then it gets to the governor's desk, and then it's a waiting game. Fingers crossed that the bill gets.
And a lot of times people are lobbying. I know that there's a lot of letter writing and calls being made around the reparations bills, in particular around AB 715. Which the governor signed anyway, even though we tried to stop it.
AB 7, which we tried really hard to make sure it passed, and oftentimes they don't listen.
Yeah, well, okay, so talk a little bit about 715.
So 715,
which the governor did sign into law.
Yes. So that bill was highly controversial. We actually were there for the hearing when it was on the assembly side. And that bill went through, it didn't actually go through the traditional process that we just laid out. And sometimes they're able to skirt it if the speaker allows it, or if they do some other backroom deals. There's also spot bills that throw the process off a little bit. But so essentially this bill didn't go through its normal process, and it actually even bypassed the education committee in a real way. They weren't even actually really able to vote on it. And
that's crazy because it's a bill that affects educators and students.
And every single education union was against the bill. When you're sitting there, and we gave an opposition of the bill, and it was, the opposition outnumbered the support, I believe, about 5-1.
So how do you skip education committee? I mean, that's the process. How do you fast track that?
A lot of backroom deals, and it's about the weight of the caucuses that it was in. It's about a lot of politics and politicking that these legislators do, and also that lobbyists do, and really putting pressure on it. And it's sad to say that unfortunately, lobbyists oftentimes have a lot more weight and power than the people do in the state capitol and in capital in general, also at the federal level. And so they were able to outmaneuver and really able to just push this forward. And it was clear that actually the chair, Marisucci, who is not normally necessarily on our side and is not someone who we oftentimes have to pressure him to get votes that we want. And he sometimes still disappoints us. And he was loud and clear that he was really upset about how all of this happened, and also said that he can't support this bill, that there's no way he can support this bill because he said himself, every single education union is in opposition of this bill. He doesn't understand how he can support it.
Well, and the thing is that the governor signed it anyway. It's the law of the land. I find it very, very hypocritical because he's the one that's saying any college that goes along with the Trump pledge of fealty to the conservative agenda loses their funding. But this is pretty much the same thing on the state level. They are creating a fake civil rights office, an anti-Semitism coordinator who can go around. And it's kind of like the legislative version of the Turning Point USA professor watch list that Charlie Kirk championed, where they basically snitch out professors or set up professors by sending conservatives into classrooms to report them for talking about Palestine or Black history or anything like that.
Anything that makes someone feel uncomfortable.
Right. But what's interesting about it is, although they say it for everyone, they call it a civil rights bill, the only one that has a monitor is anti-Semitism. And by that, they really mean anti-Israeli, anti-Netanyahu, anti-Zionist. They don't really mean anti-Semitism.
Oh, that's true. And they absolutely try to conflate the two, and they try to confuse people and to play upon people's, goodwill and desire to try to be a good human. And so that was really what they were really leaning into, and what they were that was their whole narrative that they kept spinning constantly. It was lies. And it was also really interesting sitting there in the hearing because we had some of our youth vanguard with us, and someone was giving testimony or was saying that they were concerned about children feeling uncomfortable, and there were 4 Black girls sitting in front of me, and they said they had never felt comfortable in school. They've never felt safe
Not
in
one
school.
single day. Yeah, but there's no monitor. There's no Black girl monitor, trust and believe.
Mhm.
And I'm going to say this because I think we have to say it in this climate. We're against anti-Semitism, actual anti-Semitism. We're not against critiquing I'm not. Let me speak for me. I'm not against critiquing the Israeli government, Netanyahu, the genocide in Gaza. I am definitely against hate crimes and hate speech when it's regarding anyone, including Jewish Americans or Jewish anybody.
Mhm.
And so, but this is really a muzzle.
It is.
It's
And I
really
mean,
a
it's
muzzle on
something
education.
it can even be something as simple as someone wearing a keffiyeh or having a Palestinian flag, even if they're Palestinian American. Having a Palestinian flag can be can set off this whole trigger of events that can get this person doxxed. And we know that people being doxxed is absolutely a threat to their life and to their families, and it can also lead to them losing their job and in a capitalist society. That means that they can absolutely lose everything.
I mean, and it seems like from what I've heard from people in teachers unions who were opposing this, that they can bypass their union protections and just say, well, the anti-Semitism monitor says you're bad. So now you have no job and there's not much your union can do about it. Crazy and egregious. I hope I'm not sure where we go from here because now it's the law of the land.
I mean, from what I've heard already, there are lawsuits that are being filed around it, and so people were ready and willing to file lawsuits. So there are lawsuits coming, and so I think it's really going in the courts from here on out to fight over whether or not this is constitutional and whether this is legal.
Alrighty, and I'm gonna guess it's not.
And hope it's not.
Yeah, it's not too late to call me if you want. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. Sheila Bates is here. I'm Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Donald Trump has all but declared war on California, sending in a National Guard, blocking disaster relief, and cutting funds to our colleges. And now, he and Texas Republicans are trying to rig the next election by stealing congressional seats from Black voters in states like Texas.
They want to rig these elections, and they want the power that gerrymandering provides.
Seriously, look it up. But Prop 50 is how we fight back. It gives Californians the power to fight fire with fire and beat Trump in his own game. Prop 50 creates temporary emergency congressional maps that level the playing field and protect the power of Black voters. Not just in California, but across the country. Your vote matters, and the whole country is counting on California to lead. So use your vote to protect our power, our history, and our future. Vote yes on Prop 50 by November 4th. Ad paid for by Yes on 50, the Election Rating Response Act, Governor Newsom's Ballot Measure Committee, Ad Committee top funders, HMP for Prop 50, and Fund for Policy Reform.
Open enrollment is your opportunity to choose a plan that connects you to Providence's comprehensive healthcare network. Choose a plan that includes Providence and gain access to a dedicated team of highly trained primary care physicians and specialists. From nationally recognized doctors and hospitals, Providence ensures quality care is always within reach. When you choose Providence, you choose after-hours care through our nurse advice line, urgent care, or virtual express care. You choose 24/7 access through the Providence mobile app to message providers, request prescription refills, schedule appointments, check lab results, and more. This open enrollment, prioritize your well-being with the peace of mind that comes from choosing a provider that values excellence and compassionate care. Don't just choose a plan. Choose a plan dedicated to health equity and community engagement. Choose a plan that believes health is a human right. Choose a plan that delivers exceptional care and cares about your community. Choose a plan that offers Providence. Visit chooseprovidence.org to learn more.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, educated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper community share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cow-cruise.news.com. That's cow-cruise.news.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay House LA can help. Stay House LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousela.org. Stay House LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay House LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action for KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-687-7979. That's 800-687-7979. 800-687-7979.
This is LA's home for progressive radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Then the hour flies by when you're on the radio. I'm Dominique DePrima here with Sheila Bates of Black Lives Matter California, BLM, and BLM Grassroots. Well, I think when folks focus on Black Lives Matter, we think about boots on the ground. We think about you guys protesting, showing up at police commission meetings, and the like, right? But a lot of people probably don't even know there is a policy director, i.e. you, or that this is a whole thing that you all do. How long has this been going on, and what does that consist of? Like, what is your work to push policy?
Absolutely. So we first started doing policy work with I believe the California Right to Know Act was the first piece of legislation. It might have been the Ethnic Studies Bill. I joined in 2016, so I think the first one that I was involved in was the California Right to Know bill. And what that bill did was it finally gave Californians access to police records, because you could PRA or file a public rights acquisition for files, but if it had certain things around policing, they wouldn't give it to you. And so particularly around misconduct or around their disciplinary files or anything like that was blocked. And so this bill allowed for us to finally get access to those things, which is incredibly important because what we were seeing, but we couldn't prove, is that these cops had killed multiple people and had previously abused somebody, but they weren't held accountable. And now we're here, right? And so what we've been saying is if you hold them accountable the first time, then
They
we can
won't be
save
killing
lives.
people. Yeah, it
Exactly.
makes sense. So what does that mean? I mean, you mentioned that Dr. Blaine Abdullah wrote the language for Wakiesha's law. Is it that? Is it writing language? Is it talking to lawmakers? Is it convincing them to carry bills? Like, what kind of stuff do you guys do?
It's everything. So when we do policy, we are involved from the beginning to the end. So we are involved in the drafting of the language all the way through to implementation. So we are actively involved around mobilization, around advocacy, around the actual communication strategy to get the word out to both legislators, but also to the public, because oftentimes we need the public to help push legislators to actually vote for the bills or to oppose the bills, depending on where we are with it. And so we are absolutely involved in every stage of it, and we are very principled in the way that we move policy, I think, because another example is we were involved in the use of force bill 397, and language changed on that bill sort of at the last minute, as oftentimes does. But we principally could not continue to stay on the bill because it was attached to another bill that is oftentimes called the trailer bill, and that bill would have given more money to police under the guise of training.
So you withdrew your support.
We withdrew our support of the bill. So when I say we're involved in every stage of the policy, we are intimately involved. We look at the language every single step of the way, and if something is not right, we'll either advocate for it to be changed, or if we need to, we'll pull off.
And also that includes after it becomes law, tracking how it's working and if it's working, right?
Absolutely. So we're involved in the implementation. We're still actively involved in the Crises Act, which was passed in 2021, as well as the Decertification Act. We continue to monitor post hearings and committee meetings to make sure that what should be happening and what is the letter of the law is absolutely what happens.
And we just have a couple minutes here, so we'll do the short version. But former Police Commission President Errol Southers, who was recently reappointed to the commission above the objections of Black Lives Matter LA and others, stepped down.
Yes. So we had been in opposition of him and had been calling for him to be removed for it's now been 2 years. So at least a year and a half at this point. And then we found out that he was going to be reappointed, and we were in opposition of that. We had, had a petition of remove Southers, and then it turned into block Southers because despite community opposition, Mayor Karen Bass decided to triple down and reappoint him. And so we were absolutely trying to block his reappointment. And it was interesting because he went through the first committee and people did not know his history, did not know all about the community opposition. So when we showed up, we were able to change who goes Soto Martinez's vote, because he said openly, he said, I was going to vote for you. He said, but after what community said, and he said, and looking into it, and he literally read quotes that we didn't even say and was diligently doing research while we were talking. He said, I can't support you.
Right, because of his links to the Israeli military, having gone there and studied or whatever, and as well as his sort of counterterrorism expertise, which was what
which would have put both you and I on a list.
I mean, honestly, that's what, back when he was first appointed, which is why it raised alarm bells for me. And I asked the mayor about that on the air at the time. But he stepped down. And for someone to step down after they fought to be reappointed is fishy to me. I don't think they just woke up one day and
spend time with his family.
To spend time with his family.
His family don't want him. We don't want him.
I mean, I'm just thinking, he didn't suddenly see the light and say, Black Lives Matter doesn't want me, the people don't want me. What happened?
I mean, I think he was just sick of the pressure. I think they were all sick of the heat. And I think he was asked to just step down, to step back, to make things. Because, I mean, those police commission meetings, we went in on him every single week for almost 2 years. And it was, they were getting a lot of heat from a lot of people around it. And that was, I mean, the LA Times said it, several articles talking about it said, they're essentially hinting at that this is fishy. I mean, in the same way that Michael Moore said he was stepping down to spend time with his family.
After he just got reappointed and fought for the position.
He wasn't stepping down to be with his family. He was fired by the people.
Someone call the family. See if they're with his family.
They don't want to be with him.
Sheila, thank you so much for coming in this morning. Great to see you in person. Tell us how to keep track of your work.
Absolutely. So please tap in with Black Lives Matter. You can follow us on all social media handles with BLM Grassroots for our international, our worldwide work, and then also locally here, BLM Los Angeles or BLM LA. And if for some reason you want to stay in touch with me, I am a cornball and love puns, and it's Curl Power, CURL POWER 860409. Good luck.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Thanks for the great work you've been doing around policy, and thanks for coming in and talking with us. Yes, follow BLM Grassroots. And if you listen on Saturday mornings, so this is not a drill, Sheila's going to pop up from time to time.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Saturday
Honored to be
mornings at
here
8.
with you.
Well, thanks so much for being here. When we come forward, we're talking with Sharon Kyle, the editor and publisher of the LA Progressive. That's next. And of course, later in the show, hour 3, we'll be talking with the CEO of the LA Urban League. So got a lot going on around KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. LAPD are currently urging more victims to come forward after USC grad student C.A. Wang was charged with drugging and raping 3 women.
Evidence was recovered in Wang's residence that corroborated his involvement in drug-facilitated sexual assault of multiple victims, dating back to 2021 and continuing into 2025.
The 30-year-old Chinese national faces 8 felonies and is being held without bail. House Speaker Mike Johnson and Black House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries may face off in a debate on C-SPAN's new show, Ceasefire. Jeffries accepted the challenge, saying he looks forward to discussing key issues with opposing viewpoints. And LAPD has seen surveillance footage from singer David's Hollywood Hills rental home, hoping to learn if Celeste Rivas Hernandez was there before her death. Her body was found in a Tesla registered to him. No suspects have been named. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Hard Rock Style is coming to the Central Valley, just 15 miles south of Bakersfield off Route 99. You'll find world-class gaming and entertainment. Less drive time equals more playtime. The all-new Hard Rock Casino Tejon, opening November 13th.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers have put up some impressive numbers during their 7-1 postseason. In the last 3 playoff games, the Dodgers have trailed for just 1 inning. In the 2 games at Milwaukee, the Brewers had only 2 base runners in scoring position. Both of those were in Game 1. Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Blake Snell combined for 16 shutout innings, 17 strikeouts, and 1 walk in the 2 games at Milwaukee. The Brewers have only 4 hits in the 2 games. Can the Dodgers starting pitchers keep this up? We'll find out tomorrow. Tyler Glasnow gets the start for Game 3. First pitch tomorrow at 3 o'clock. LA native Russell Westbrook is returning for his 18th NBA season. Westbrook signed a 1-year deal with the Sacramento Kings with a veteran minimum of $3.6 million. Westbrook will be 37 in November. He holds the NBA record for the most triple plays with 203. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tavis Smiley with the final word here about the upcoming Left Coast Forum on Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. As you know by now, major keynotes include Professor Richard Wolf and Cornell West. LA Mayor Karen Bass will be there as well. But listen to some of these plenaries fighting for Black students and educational equity, resilience under Trumpism, how to stay sane under fascism, the battle for democracy, what's at stake in 2026, healthcare under attack, fighting